it's been interesting to watch popular consensus change on what length of time constitutes a game taking too long to make. Daikatana was the first game to develop that kind of reputation, and that took 4 years to make, and it was, well, Daikatana. I think the current record holder is Beyond Good and Evil 2, which, who knows when that's going to materialize. The closest recent analogs to Hollow Knight Silksong's development time that I can think of are Anthem and Concord. Anthem was an undercooked mess that they were literally rewriting on the fly when they were demoing it at E3. And Concord, well, Concord's going to be an evergreen joke forever. The press for Silksong got volleyed around like a tennis ball from the initial announcement in a Nintendo E3 showcase in 2019, to magazines, to Xbox, back to Nintendo, back to Xbox, until Team Cherry basically just shadow dropped it with 2 weeks' notice. Each of those twists in the path up until the end was interspersed with months, sometimes a whole year of no development updates, giving rise to a meme culture the likes of which I've never seen before. But here we are. The curse is lifted, the evil is defeated, Silksong is real. So what the hell was Team Cherry up to for all that time? Well, according to the Bloomberg article released the same day as the release date trailer, making the game. Turns out when game developers actually get to reap the fruits of their labor without a bunch of C-suite tapeworms attached and shareholders skulking around like hyenas to steal off their efforts, they can sell 15 million copies of their first game, not have to worry about finances, and take as long as they need to on their next project. What a novel fucking concept. I haven't seen gaming culture as hungry for a release since, like, maybe Cyberpunk. When it was done and ready, Team Cherry could have charged whatever they wanted. So the game costs $20. I can't even get a good lunch out for less than $20 anymore. Silksong's release crashed Steam, the Nintendo eShop, the PlayStation Store, the Xbox Marketplace. The fucking Humble Store ran out of keys. I legitimately don't know how that's even possible. As far as my opinion on the first game goes, I think it's great. I'm not about to sit here and tell you it's anything less than a meticulously designed, visually striking gem of Avania. But there's always been an X factor that a lot of people seem to find in it that I just don't. I think it comes down to that last bit of personal connection, that intangible click that's entirely dependent on everyone's specific combination of tastes. Like, I can understand why people consider Hollow Knight to be one of the greatest games ever made, even though for me it caps out at being capital E excellent. Let me put it another way. Hollow Knight came out in 2017, and I've played it to completion twice. Blasphemous came out in 2019, and I've played that to completion 5 times. Which, one day. It's the, this is brilliant, but I like this thing. Because Hollow Knight is brilliant, and I think Silksong is even more so. For the most part. So this game is a direct sequel to Hollow Knight, and confirms that game's golden ending as canon, where the knight defeats the mind-warping divine moth thing known as the Radiance and seals it away for good, saving Hallownest and the White Kingdom. Hornet here got up to something afterwards, but at some point got ganked by the Palanquin squad here and trundled off to Silksong setting Pharloom. A glowy fly friend helps her razor floss her way out of the cage, and even though she takes a huge fall, she's doing just fine.
Friend!
The first thing that'll slap you right in the grill is, holy shit, this game is pretty! For the first Hollow Knight, Team Cherry developed this technique of layering a bunch of still images, shadow box style, coupled with parallax scrolling to give the game's visuals depth, even though the entire thing is in 2D. They cranked that aesthetic up to the maximum for Silksong. Every environment is bursting at the seams with detail, there's tons more hidden in the backgrounds, and they utilize more moving environment objects like these adorable little buggers that take flight as I get out of the tutorial area after getting swatted awake by this lady. The first hub area is Bone Bottom, a hard-scrabble outpost at the bottom of the world. The locals are all on a journey to a mythical citadel high above, which Hornet decides to head for as well with no other lead to follow as to why she's here. The first named NPC we meet, Sherma, is... well, look, he's trying his best, okay? Only holy prayer and song will open the way. In this kingdom, even mighty bone is moved by music. Join your voice with mine, Red Maiden. You, me, and my lucky chime will sing together until the great gate opens. Hoi! Did you see it, Red Maiden? The Great Gate heard my song, and in its infinite and ancient kindness has opened the way forward for us. Gate, 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 nicest gate I've ever met. Gate, 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 greatest miracle yet. Ha 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 ha! I'm admittedly a little nervous about opening the gate up for the little guy because it seems that after you get out of the base camp on the ascent to the Citadel, there's a high chance you can go a little funny. Another NPC comes soon after, Chakra, who is a tall glass of water and a half if I do say so myself. She's on a mission to find her teacher, but more importantly, she sells you maps. Whenever you're near Chakra, you'll hear her singing, which is a welcome improvement over having to find and follow a paper trail for Cornifer in the first game. I'm not leading to a joke here, I just like listening to the pretty mantis lady sing. One big change right off the bat that I appreciate is that Silksong has a formal quest system complete with objective markers. There's the big one, scale the Citadel and search for answers, but plenty of smaller ones to occupy your time and dole out smaller rewards. The first few are simple go here, get this type affairs, but a jaunt to a side area will get you the most important one. The fleas. The many fleas of this kingdom should be flocking to our caravan, but times have become dangerous. You feel it too, yes? Our poor cousins out there in hiding. Could you help us find those poor lost fleas? We daren't continue our journey until some of the poor dears have found their way here to us. Ah, do I understand you rightly, stranger? You will help gather the lonely fleas to our caravan, truly? I'm traveling these lands for my own reasons, Flea Master. However, if I happen upon any in my travels, I will aid them as best I can. Team Cherry, plushies, right now. I will buy your entire stock. Few things tickle my fancy better than the opening hours of a Metroidvania I haven't played before. I think the sense of the unknown is the biggest driver of the genre's enduring popularity, the simple pleasure of not knowing what's around the next corner. The first Hollow Knight leveraged that feeling incredibly well in its world design, each area distinct yet flowing into one another in a way that made Hollow Nest feel cohesive. Silksong is much the same, there's little touches and details in the environment that won't fully pay off for a long time. For now, it's about testing limits and beginning to expand the abilities at your disposal. Silksong eschews the magical abilities of Hollow Knight in favor of a system of skills and tools. The first skill I find is the Silk Spear, which has Hornet Toss her needle in a line forward and do big damage. You need it to loose this beastie here, and then make friends with it by beating it up a bunch. No, really, that's canon. This is the Bell Beast, and she is a good girl. I'll be referring to her as Aira from here on out, because, well, that's her name apparently.
Aira!
Why am I getting the strangest sense of deja vu? During the opening couple hours, I also become cognizant of a certain something that all of us who played this at launch noticed. Silksong is a wee bit harder than Hollow Knight, like in a way that very quickly smacks you upside the head. In the first Hollow Knight, every time you take damage, you lose a mask. That's how it goes for pretty much the whole game until you reach the endgame bosses who hit for 2. These include buffed memory versions of prior bosses like the kingdom's greatest warriors in their prime, a Lovecraftian horror, and, God. It caught me a little off guard that Aira hits for 2 mass while she's bouncing around with high impact zoomies, but that's a boss fight. I thought maybe they just ratcheted it up there. So imagine my surprise when I'm in Silksong's second area and this happens. Oh, that doesn't bode well. The first tool I pick up are these little throwing knives, which fall squarely into boring but practical territory. Down in the deep docks, a lava area, a door locks behind me and a few waves of enemies to fight spawn. The first game did this a few times, so I didn't think this would be that much of an issue. I was so young at this point. So naive. A mewling child. I knew nothing. But I would learn. Oh, I would learn. One bug variety that was conspicuously missing from the first game were ants, and their domain in the Hunter's March means business. This area is hostile as hell in the early game, and the ants are proper warriors. However, I have a mantis in my corner. Girl, I know you're looking for your teacher, but, you free later? I was lucky enough to trip this trap and have health to eat the hit. Many people were not. Getting through the ants nets me the Swift Step, which is the first real game-changer ability. A sprint doesn't seem like a whole lot, but there was nothing like this in the first game. The titular knight, not this one, is just kind of a little guy. You got some abilities that improved your movement, but his speed otherwise was pretty unremarkable. Hornet in her 2 boss fights in that game actually stands in contrast to this simply because she's so much more agile than you. In Silksong, Hornet starts out locked to a slower speed, but now the weights are off. Running lets you get some insane distance on your jumps, which is required for pretty much all the platforming from here on out. You get a dash attack out of the sprint as well, and doing it in mid-air causes Hornet to flip and dodge. It's a huge shift in the gameplay. You're no longer a tiny bean making up for his shortcomings with ludicrous magical abilities. You're a predator. You're a hunter. I'm already backtracking over the starting areas for some stuff I missed, and this leads to the first meeting with her. How sad. A little spider has fallen from its cage. So lost. So weak. Poor little morsel. I can save you, little spider. All the trouble you'd face above. All the suffering. It's so simple. I'll just skewer you, here and now. Pluck that flickering life right out of you. Your threats are worthless, child. If you're my foe, stay your voice and raise your blade. Delicious! I like you already. Lace is a prime example of what I like to call the Souls-like inverted boss size axiom, where the closer a boss is to the size of your character, the better the fight. Her moveset is based on a fencer's, light on her feet but with some snazzy super moves to catch you off guard. Get comfortable with fighting her now, you'll need to for later. Huh. I miss her already. A quick side quest for the seamstress here nets me the next major ability, the Drifter Cloak, useful for catching and coasting on rising hot air. This area dead ends, so I double back and explore. Holy crap! The fourth chorus doesn't give me too much trouble. What I find next does. The Savage Beastfly is kind of inspiring, in that it inspires hate. Shout out to the homies at r/fucksavagebeastfly. It's not just that this thing's entire body is both its hurt box and hitbox, meaning trying to pogo off it with a downward strike sometimes feels like flipping a coin between bouncing off and getting tapped for damage. It's not just that its screen-wide charges have weird timing. It's that it constantly tosses minions at you in addition to hitting you for 2 masks when I'm still working with just the minimum amount. This is the first encounter that invokes the feeling of being a bit much. Trust me, it will not be the last. Killing it nets you the first of one of Silksong's other new additions, the Crests, which are passive settings that alter Hornet's attacks and provide new configurations of equipping tools and passive bonuses. I admittedly did not delve too much into them. Hornet's standard moveset is super balanced, covers the bases, and is what I used for most of the game. The first impression of automatically switching to the new crest and resetting all my tools doesn't help, especially because if you're a dunce like me, you won't notice until you go to toss a pin at an enemy only to have nothing happen. Up through the gross-ass wormways, I pass through a verdant forest area called Shellwood, and I'm wondering why I'm tripping over bells when... Oh, that's creepy. Not much I can do for them at the moment, so I press on into Greymoor. This place is kind of a vibe, honestly. I like the fog and the rain and Christopher Larkin's melancholy score. At a rest stop in the middle of the grey expanse, I meet New. New is... odd.
Oh, ma! Sweet surprise for New! You are adult, yes? Fully grown? Ready to hunt?
Certainly I am no child, young one.
Perfect then! New must ask a wish. For her, you would seek Pharloom's many fabulous bugs and cut them! Cut them with your blade! Cut them with your mature spirit! Cut them with your savage adult heart!
Further on, I trip into a nest of birds in the first encounter that really tests my patience. The waves of enemies are relentless. We're not just doing 3 or 4 piecemeal anymore. I'm almost 7 hours into this and I still haven't gotten a damage upgrade, and I'm getting locked in rooms with dozens of enemies and little room for mistakes. Hornet can't heal piecemeal to keep off death's door like the knight could in the first game. You have to commit to your heal, and may the radiance help you if you get punted out of it. Finally getting past that nets me the Threadstorm skill, which becomes my go-to offensive tool for most of the rest of the game. Getting to hit a button and puree everything around Hornet is insanely useful, especially for these bastard flying enemies that seem to be specifically programmed to dance just out of my range. Some more backtracking nets me a health upgrade, fucking finally, and a side quest from this kind of suspicious lady. Collect a few purple flowers? Yeah, this seems like a minor thing that doesn't give anything super useful. I'll table it for later. Since I've been doing good finding fleas, the caravan moves to Greymoor, which gives me access to another tool I get a ton of use out of, the Flea Brew. It juices your speed and damage for a short time, helps me deal with the next boss I stumble into. This weird ceiling crone is named Sister Splinter, and offing her gets me the Cling Grip, which is technically a power from the first game, but just given a new coat of paint. Lets you wall jump, opens up even more pathways to explore and meet some additional weird guys like Krat here. He lets Hornet use his hot spring to restore her health and silk meter with no ulterior motives. Between riding hot air with the cloak and the ability to scramble up walls, the idea of ascent is coming more to the forefront, so I decide to see just how high I can get. This takes me to the Blasted Steps, a wind-blown pain vortex of chittering claws, teeth lurking in the sand, and mace-wielding judge enemies blocking the path. The seamstress from earlier has a sister living out here, the Pinstress, who gives me a charge attack that I really don't use much. Didn't use it much in the first game either. Scaling the steps finally gets me almost to the Citadel. The pilgrims chilling by the gate inform me that there's a few bells that need to be rung to open the door, which I've been doing, but I'm missing one.
Oh, they shall join, union upon your thread, a gift for your waking, a world strung to serve.
Creature, your claws guide these cursed threads, but you are not their source. What role do you play in this vile affliction?
Oh, she is here, the rare birthling, precious child of worm and weaver, spawn of those who dared to flee. She has found her way home at last. How fine her shell, and silk, and claw! For you, mother, let me claim her all for you!
Wait, what did you say about those who dared to flee? Ah, So listen, I'm going to turn you into a musical instrument now. Wait, what? This is the needle, and it has some niche uses, namely a few puzzles and getting lore out of NPCs by playing it near them. Freeing the residents of Belheart finally gets me a proper permanent damage upgrade. Knowing the Citadel is open, I decided to do a lap of the world to collect what I can. There's a couple quests in Bone Bottom to do still, and I take them. Jesus Christ! I never even learned Little Bro's name. With the bells rung, I can bring the first act to a close, and it ain't about to go quietly. The last judge is a warning. This bronze beef castle is relentless and has wide-ranging attacks, which is something you'll just have to get used to in the bosses from here on out. One other thing you'll have to get used to? Out-and-out malice. This explosion will kill you if you're close to it, and I know this because I was on the internet a lot in the weeks after this game came out. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of what you'll face in... Silksong's second act is a whole game on its own. You can fit like 2 Super Metroids in here. Admittedly, this might be because I now know after the fact that I did this whole act in probably the most unoptimized way possible. To start with, this elevator is bait. The Citadel's underworks are a labyrinth of spinning blades and sharp edges. OSHA would have a field day down here. Chakra never makes it to the Citadel due to a request for her master, so you have to find maps of the Citadel sections in these dioramas rather than buy them from her. Many of the benches around here will also eat your rosary currency. Unlike the ones in Outer Pharloom where the payment is one and done, the ones in here are single use. Cheap bastards. You know, getting out of the mechanized death pit, I expected to see less bodies, not more. Oh, hey girl, how's tricks?
What's this? The little spider climbs so high, here to stand a quiver at our startling citadel. Pale child, you return only to muck. Neither you nor your land have proven my match. The sleeping citadel shall be no different. Spider dear, why must you remain so distressingly optimistic? The power that waits above you cannot conceive, her who would snuff that hope with barely a glance. Fool child, you still think me blind to the form of your liege, having come this far? This land's grandeur, the devotion of its bugs, and the curse that befalls them. The signs are clear. Your kingdom is in the thrall of a creature beyond bug, one of that higher caste. Whatever its desire for my silk and my shell, it shall find him quite attached to both. Marvelous! So the spider knows something of fathomless beings, and still it hopes to stand against one, a god. Where do you hide this boundless strength you claim, Spider? I've watched you struggle towards us. Yours was a painful, broken trek. One needs grace to stand before the divine.
Then best you keep watching, child. I found those who claim themselves a god can rarely match the title, and experience tells me even gods can fall.
Oh yeah, keep talking dirty to me.
Excuse me? Nothing. Bye! After flirting with Lace, the Citadel comes alive. Metaphorically speaking, and a bit non-metaphorically. The endless ranks of the devout begin marching against you from the places where they previously lay, beckoned by their faraway mistress. I saw people online comparing this to the City of Tears from the first game. In my opinion, it completely leapfrogs it, not least in part due to Christopher Larkin earning the hell out of his composer paycheck. The Citadel is enormous, not merely another zone in Pharloom's world, but a whole microcosm sitting atop it. There's an entirely separate fast travel system of pneumatic tubes. You can only get Aira up as far as the station at the bottom, but it's still just as lethal, even more so than the wilds outside. The enemies in here all have zealotry on their side. They take a lot of hits to slap down. The flying ones are a giant pain in the ass. They constantly dance out of my range, and these guys have a straight up parry. Exploring reveals there's these little clockwork guys keeping things going where the underworks bleed into the main halls. Every surface that isn't meant to be a main path is covered in spikes. And even here, where the bugs who got here made the same ascent we did out of devotion, they still have to fork over cash for a place to sit. The implications are about as subtle as a brick thrown at your head. Wonder what that's for.
Oi! You there! It was you, wasn't it? Ringing that great clanging bell just now, right when I'm trying to get some sleep. Admit it, you done it, you shitty little bell runger.
You have chosen a curious place to rest, sir. Do you perhaps know something of this shrine and its companions in the lands below?
Oh, so you asked funny questions as well as cutting bells free, eh? You certainly ain't a pilgrim, but you're clearly not in the choir either. No, I know exactly what you are. A bell ringing loud, a weirdo.
I tripped on another elevator and I really don't like this. I'd like to leave. I sense I am in great danger. Oh god, no! A shortcut out of that nightmare leads back to the underworks, into a further section composed of magma chambers and the unfortunates stuck working in them. Down here is another Weaver totem, which gives an upgrade I've been jonesing for hours. The claw line is another game changer on the level of the sprint. If you played Doom Eternal, remember how awesome the meat hook for the shotgun was, getting to snag fleeing enemies and get right up in their face? Transpose that to 2 dimensions. No more can aerial enemies simply flutter out of your range, you can chase them down. This thing pulls you to walls as well, and when I realized that you can chain jumps and floats out of it, I felt my brain expand. A similar feeling came about when I explored the underworks further and found the 12th Architect here, who was just throwing it back, goddamn. I made brief contact with Sherma again on the blasted steps on the way up here, and find he managed to slip past the throngs in the halls to have a chill in the hot springs, which should be universal in every place of worship, frankly. Stay here, little buddy, it's rough out there. The mob fights are still happening with frustrating regularity, and now feature the harder enemies native to the Citadel. I dance around the objective for a time until I quite literally cannot go anywhere else. Everyone will not shut up about the cogwork dancers. And I won't either. The cogwork dancers are fucking mint. They have the zen-like rhythmic flow of the Mantis Lords from the first game, but made very literal, their movement occurring in time with the background music. Phasing them picks up the tempo. I feel like I'm going wall-eyed as I try to keep track of both dancers at once, especially when they do their combo move. Phase 3 is lock-in time as the dancers desynchronize. This fight represents Silksong at its best, an obstacle that's easy to understand yet is still deviously tricky. When I finally strike one of the dancers down, the remaining one returns to its cradle, and I think for a brief moment we're going to get a 4th phase. And then... Listen, Team Cherry, I know I've bitched about a few things so far, but this is not okay, you absolute bastards! With the dancers dusted, the mechanisms of the Citadel adjust to give Hornet a new objective. Find 3 melodies to play on her needle and to open the way to the summit. The pathway immediately in front of me leads into a clockwork nightmare, but there's some platforms that sit just out of reach, so I have to go back to poking around. Backtracking to an earlier route leads me to the high halls. I haven't mentioned all the tools I've been collecting because I glommed onto a certain few and ignored most of the others. I forget exactly where I picked up the cogwork flies, but I love these little guys. They're adorable, and they headbutt stuff. One of the melodies I need to move forward is up here, and I was expecting it to be guarded by a boss fight. Turns out it's way worse. This mob fight is, to be frank, Team Cherry taking the piss. It's already longer than most of the mob fights, pitting you against 5 waves of the hardy High Halls enemies. It's capped off by Big Chungus here as a mini-boss. Defeating him opens the way forward. That sentence makes sense when I say it, right? Numerous waves of enemies capped off by a single hard but not quite boss enemy is a full, complete encounter, with rising stakes and challenge before plateauing. So anyway, when you beat this mini-boss, you have to do another 5 waves of enemies. And when you manage to get to the end of all those, you have to fight the mini-boss again, except there's 2 now. The mob fights before this were becoming tedious, but this is the developers making you jump through hoops because they can. After beating my head against that wall for a time, I decide to pivot. There's a quest I picked up earlier from this guy, who's willing to fork over some oil to upgrade Hornet's Needle if I gather ingredients around Pharloom for a special dish. While doing that, I get bodied by this odd enemy I've never seen before in Greymoor, and... Wait. Son of a bitch, this game has its own version of the Bloodborne Snatchers. Except the Snatchers at least had the decency to not steal my fucking clothes! I'm not gonna lie, Naked Hornet amuses me greatly. She's so gangly and weird looking. Hey assholes, the peep show ain't free. The mountain that's accessible from the prison's side exit does exposure damage due to the cold, so I use Aera to go elsewhere. I already found one of the ingredients for the oil. Another one can be found by talking to Tweedledee and Tweedledum here, who I helped out of jams in some earlier quests. Their dialogue suggests that I need to get this thing to the bug in the Citadel on a time limit and that it's fragile. Okay, but no, they wouldn't possibly. I can just call up Aera and have her cart me up there. No. No. No way. You can't. No, you guys, you can't do this to me again. You know whose favorite part of the first Hollow Knight is the Fragile Flower side quest? Fucking nobody's. I won't. I refuse. You can't make me. I would literally rather fight the Savage Beastfly again than do this. Okay, let's give it a try. At the very least, the Rasher doesn't disintegrate in one hit like the flower in the first game, but any lessening of the challenge due to that is offset by the time limit. Since Aera can't be used, you either have to go up the blasted steps or through the underworks to make the delivery on time, both of which require tricky platforming to scale, and if you fuck up, you lose a chunk of the timer. I waste an hour on attempts at this before losing a close one and tilting off the face of the planet. To cool down, I decide to try Mount Fae again, and discover that I can actually explore it despite my initial 180 because I thought I needed some kind of anti-cold passive upgrade. It's a nice platforming break from the increasingly teeth-grinding combat sections, ask you to flex all your abilities, especially using enemies as platforms with the claw line. I thought I was going to have to fight the bird for a minute, but it just gives Hornet a big ol' snuggle, and now I can double jump. I immediately realized the implications of what I can do and promptly nail the fragile delivery, almost biffing it at the end again. Back in the clock tower, I can now reach those platforms that were out of reach and collect the next MacGuffin I need, the Architect's Melody. You know, I can probably avoid a whole difficult platforming section in reverse if I just do the old save and quit trick to go back to the last bench I rested at and— Oh, piss off, Team Cherry! Searching for the next melody introduces me to this cantankerous archivist, the Vault Keeper, who's willing to fork over some rosaries for some of the lore-related collectibles I've found. Also down here is— Oh, drab and trembling squib, you who timidly step onto the great stage, fate has seen you chosen. Cast away your fear, and join me as my partner. Pharloom's flame may flicker, but together we shall spark it ablaze. Let us enliven the citadel lost to silence. Let us rouse the soul of this once great land. This magnificent bastard is Trobbio, and I love him. His boss fight might be my favorite in the game. There's something innately funny about smacking him around, doubly so because of how he fights back. The fucker covers the screen in firecrackers and dives in and out of the stage slats. I can't quite seal the deal at first because I don't have the DPS, so I go see Pliny with some oil I found rooting around in the archives and come back. It's not until the second round of attempts that I realize that there's 2 spotlights following Trobbio at all times, which raises a ton of questions I'm not sure I need the answer to. 11 out of 10 boss, no notes. I keep the momentum going and return to the high halls to crush the pain-in-the-ass mob fight and get the conductor's melody, then bust through some secret walls in the vaults to access the steam vents of the Citadel's organ and collect a lost wax cylinder that the Vault Keeper plays to get the third and final melody. Before heading to play all the melodies, I have a few leads on my map to follow up on. First up is this bastard chef that drops one of the ingredients I need for the Gourmand quest. Then I go fight bugs with crazy fire powers and their sentient flame effigy that I'm sure has some major lore implications that I missed somewhere. Back down in the more wild sections of Pharloom, I square up with another solid double boss fight and find a strange vessel I can't get inside of yet. Some more abilities, another new area I can't make it super far into yet, which means I'm still not done finding movement abilities. The last ingredient I need for the Gourmand quest so I can finally get the reward. Brother, you would not believe what I had to do to get this. This rematch with Lace is way harder than the first one. All of her moves have some extra zest added to them. The one that sticks in my craw the most is this parry, which for all you fighting game players out there, has a single frame of startup, and I swear to god the boss AI input reads. Phasing Lace activates her anime character mode. She gets really fast and adds some wide-ranging attacks to her arsenal. Still, a very nice, well-paced and challenging fight, and the MGS3 looking arena is a nice bonus. Congratulations, Spider! Finally I felt your sting, and you've bared the truth of my pathetic empty shell. You always had the sense, child. You are no bug. Yours is a life born entirely of thread. Life? You're too generous. This weak, wasting existence. This was not life, just a husk shaped to act as a child. Yours was life, Pale One. Do not confuse your unique creation with its absence. I've seen others make the same mistake. Platitudes, Spider. From you? Don't be gross. Head on, climb up and away. You've earned your audience with the divine. Face the Holy Mother who would fashion so cruel and crude a daughter as me. After all, it's you that she wants, is it not? Am I deep enough into the video that I can make a joke about what all this stuff looks like? Alright, let me have it.
Cut him off!
Grandmother Silk is pretty easy to figure out. She takes a lot of cues from the Radiance with her big line-based attacks. Though this one where she covers the screen in threads that can snare you is the first attack in the game that will hit you for 3 masks of damage. Not the only one, just the first one. You know this is one hell of an overreaction to me saying I want to date your daughter.
Silence, you White Kingdom hussy! You will not tempt my lace with your liberal ways!
You were the one who gave her the kind of hips that wars are fought over. Midway through the fight, there's a bait and switch where she'll pull bits of the ceiling down and start shoving spikes up through the floor, but they're not too big a problem. Finish beating her up, and ascend to godhood. Does anyone still fall for these first ending fakeouts? I've been paranoid about stuff like this since I played Portrait of Ruin back when I was 12. Yeah, no, we're not done, not by a long shot. Like I said before though, I did things super unoptimized and flat out missed a bunch of stuff. So we're gonna yada 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 through the next 10 hours of my playthrough, covering what I like to call the What Now section of the game. Obvious stuff first. I go slay the second Savage Beastfly and hope that there aren't any more waiting for me down the way. In the Citadel, I punch through a ceiling to reach a curious area called the Memoriam, which is otherwise unremarkable save for containing the most problematic flea to corral. This goofy fucker actually kills me. No, bad flea, go home. There's another new area accessible from here called the Putrefied Ducts, which is all full of nope, but does contain another NPC to advance the flea quest and a key to the last area of the prison across the world map. Using that and busting through some cracked hidden walls lands me in the deepest part of the prison where another crazy fun boss awaits, the First Sinner. Once again, probably some crazy lore implications that I'm missing context for. Oh well. Sherma update. He's doing fine. Opening up another hidden wall lets me into Bile Water, which is a bad time. Full of traps and hazards, including these goddamn grub worms that consume a whole heal to get rid of. The devs are back on their bullshit again because this area only has 2 benches, the latter of which is locked behind a secret wall. And if you don't find it, you have to scale the entirety of the area every time you lose to the boss at the top, and it's at least a 5-minute trip. And you will have to do that multiple times, because Grow the Great is made of some grade A nonsense. There's a mob fight you have to repeat every time you start his arena over, and he spawns more minions during the fight itself. So the whole thing quickly becomes a bullet hell of high damage projectiles, and even though I've been accumulating health upgrades and have 3 damage upgrades now, it's still a giant pain. After that, without many other leads, I decide to clean out my quest log, so I go round up the last of the flowers for Greyroot and...
Smile on.
What do you mean I could have had poison tools 20 hours ago? Ah! Poking around the edges of the map again, I find this weird thing. It cries in my inventory. Nope! Greyroot mentioned something about roots and a baby, so I bring it back to her.
Rascal.
I mean, sure, I'll accept your quest. Ah! After getting bad touched by Greyroot, Hornet is cursed, locking off your silk powers and, by extension, your heal. You know, I wonder what would happen if I...
So, Hornet, you're back for more! Well, let me tell you, this time I won't get caught slipping and...
I legitimately love how this is the worst ending, and you have to work extra hard to get it. Very funny, Team Cherry. An NPC I met hours ago has the means to cure the curse, so we do that with some extreme acupuncture and I get a new crest out of it. Neat. Eventually I'm down to the last few to-dos. I go save Sherma from White Ward in the Citadel because I am not letting this poor cinnamon roll get got by the nightmare bugs. After that it's flea roundup time. Bro, how in the world did you get up here? At long last, the cranky Shrine Keeper offers a veiled way forward, a trap to defeat Grandmother Silk without Hornet binding her and going all Nightmare Galadriel in the bad ending.
All shall love me and despair.
I have to do another lap and go visit the Shrine Keeper from all the way back at the beginning of the journey, plus another living under Bellheart that I spoke to during a side quest like 15 hours ago. It takes me a minute to remember where he's at. Just gotta breeze through the Grandmother Silk fight again. This'll be a breeze. I did it no-hit the last time for Pete's sake.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Fuck! And credits? Again? Huh. Not gonna lie, I thought we were gonna go somewhere else with doing that instead of just another ending. Well, I guess that's it then. Time to open my file back up and start collecting what's left for completion. Huh. Oh. Oh. Oh, did we fuck up? Oh, I think we fucked up. Oh, we definitely fucked up. Quality fake out, Team Cherry, well played. Whatever stunt Hornet just pulled did some serious damage to the Citadel, and we have to descend through a wrecked portion. Turns out, I basically just poked a big hole in reality. The capital V void is leaking through it, and bits of it are already finding bugs to wrap around like Spider-Man symbiotes. In addition to their usual moves getting a buff, it occasionally lashes out on its own in an attack that does 3 damage. Wait, if the Citadel bugs are vulnerable, does that mean... Oh, thank God Sherma's safe. You stay put, little buddy. I need to go get some answers. Before I can leave, I have to deal with this big bastard jostled loose and blocking the way out. It's a devious little fight, but I get the best backup I could ask for. Aira from the top rope, baby. Oh my god, her little youngins are adorable. And they give you an ability that lets you warp back to the last fast travel place you used? Thanks for all the help, girl. Unrelated question. Do you have any salt? Cowards. Here you hide even as you cause your own land's demise. You seem displeased, old one. We only did as you asked, yes? The snare is sprung, the creature consumed. You bound it to that void. Don't play daft. You should well know our family's fixations. Surely you had a hunch. How else could we hope to trap one of your pale kin, or see her consumed with such insatiable efficiency? Then you have miscalculated, gravely. The White Knight. She fell with the mother. Oh! The quakes, yes. We have felt their force even here. So the mother resists the dark to save the child. That is my guess. I must ascend to the void below and see clear that truth for myself. Oh, how unfortunate. All of Pharloom will fall to her flailing. So it may, but I will not watch idle while it crumbles. So remember this big contraption I found about 10 hours ago? Turns out it's actually a diving bell. I recruit the Forge Daughter's assistant to operate the thing and send me down to the depths. Predictably, things go sideways. The void in the first game was cavernous and creepy. Pharloom's section of it is markedly more prickly, with some real nasty critters waiting to introduce themselves to you. Get off, get off, get off, get off, get off! At the bottom is a big puddle of chocolate syrup with a phantom of lace to chat with. Here you lie, monarch. Sunk so deep, yet still you cling to life. Would you let your lands be choked black to protect just her? Spider, dear, what a delight to have you visit! It is oh so lonely here at the bottom of the world. I cannot share your mirth, child. Your small rebellion above now causes this kingdom's collapse. Letting you live was my rebellion, Spider. I've denied my mother your silken strength. I've won. She can thrash and waste and know her pathetic broken child caused the mortal wound. Rejoice! And let it all come down. I will not. I've already stood the sentinel for one dying land. That role I will never play again. While I live and possess the strength to resist, this kingdom and the bugs within it shall not fall. Spider. Spider, what a marvelous specimen you are. You fight and fight, heedless as the world crumbles around you. Pharloom and her bugs will be crushed to dust, and you'll still be vainly swinging your blade. There may still be a way to prevent that fate. I will claim the hidden power, the bloom that repels the dark. Those snails share some fault in the snare and their callous use of the void. They shall help me now to seek its counter. I will return, child, when I bear the strength to dive below, and cut this land finally free of your mother's grasp. There's one more Weaver statue to find down here, which, again, I'm sure has some real interesting lore implications, but I'm much more focused on the super jump it gives me. With the diving bell damaged, it's a matter of spelunking in reverse to GTFO. This bit is tricky, but the White Palace in the first game was way worse. Alright, you fuckers better have some good ideas on how to fix this, or I'm going to spend a long time teaching you what Halissa culture means. The snails tell Hornet that they can fish an artifact out of her memories that will repel the void enough to allow her to get to the bottom. But in order to do that, they'll need 3 hearts extracted from the memories of powerful individuals and give her a final needle-in upgrade that lets you crack said memories open. I decided to tackle the far left one first because I'm curious about the area it's in and I can access it in full now. And look, if you played this game, which you probably did, you all know what's coming. This isn't going to be some grand reveal. The Coral Tower is one of the coolest looking areas in the game, but it also breaks me. Almost makes me crash out and quit playing completely. One long multi-wave gauntlet, then another where the environment starts becoming a hazard. This one is intense with a mini-boss at the end. So are you done? Fucking of course not. There's another with more mini-bosses. Everything hits for 2 masks. If you fail, you get ejected from the dream and have to start at the bottom again. I ask, with all sincerity, what is the point of this? Am I supposed to learn something? The only relevance these encounters have on the boss is the visual cues for the coral spikes, which I appreciate the heads up, but the boss at the top of this tower, Crust King Karn, the only attacks he has are the coral spikes. You learn how they work in like 5 seconds. So why are there 30, yes, 30 waves of enemies between me and the boss? I've made it this far, Team Cherry. What the fuck else do I need to prove to you? It takes me 2 hours to get through the tower gauntlet and 5 minutes to beat Karn. I'm so tired. I've been playing for so long that all the granular details of the map are becoming sludge in my brain. I'm still missing so much. There's so much to do. I brought the game on my Steam Deck on a weekend away, put in another 3 hours without recording, just rounding up the most essential missing things. Several crests, the rest of the mask shards, just to be in the best possible position for the race to the finish. I visit the fleas for the last time, and thankfully their side quest doesn't end like the grub roundup in Hollow Knight 1, if you know, you know. Instead you get to bop these cute buggers around for a while and get the final damage upgrade for your needle out of it. The second heart is held by this boss, Nylith, who is another pain in the ass and a half. The opening part isn't bad, but then it drops down into this cavern with a spiky floor and you're limited to the walls. There's a passive upgrade you can get that stops you from sliding down. I would highly recommend finding it before coming down here, otherwise you're fighting both this plant and the controls. The last heart brings things almost full circle back to the ants. The bulk of their kingdom is tucked away behind a hidden route through the Hunter's March, and exploring it eventually puts me in the resting place of their monarch, Carmelita. Oh, big arena. This looks promising. No! Absolutely not. Stop it. I've had fucking enough. I am glad I saved this for next to last. This boss fight rules. Fast-paced, tight action and reaction, great music, but I'm still docking it 2 whole letter grades for the unnecessary mob fight you have to do at the beginning every time. Taking down Carmelita gives me what I need to bring things home. I bring the goods back to the snails, who set Hornet down for a journey into the mine that clarifies a few things about her background. It's good stuff, very minimalist. Tiny Hornet is adorable. Sits well in my brain because it happens after the ball-crushing, fun-destroying enemy gauntlets, but before the finale. Before I go, I do a few last things as a roundup, and I feel like I'm forgetting something. Wait! Oh, you thought I forgot about you, motherfucker! Come here! Child, I hold the means to descend. Let us meet one final time and quell this black ruin of our making. Who are you hoping you'll find down there, Spider? An ailing child and a silk-starved beast? If so, I'm afraid we may sorely disappoint. What waits below is me no longer. Even if only your shadow remains to release your mother's grip, my blade would see it slain. Then why hold? Even this moment. Surely terror hasn't suddenly claimed your hardened heart. Take the final plunge, Spider. Join us in my drowning palace, and let oblivion swallow us all. Oblivion may take you, child. My own life I shall not sacrifice. I have survived the fury of your land, I have borne its barbs and its blades, and I have seen wonder behind its dangers. But always, child, I remain a daughter of Hollow Nest, and the void below all things, that darkness, I will fear no longer. Sup, bitch? You gonna play nice? I was hoping you'd say that. Lost Lace is difficult. Absolutely. But that's the key thing. She's difficult. The fight isn't tedious, it's not annoying, it's not aggravating, and spawning little minions that just add random extra bullshit. It's a proper test, the final exam. Okay, the parry is still a zero-frame startup input reading piece of nonsense, but everything else is identifiable and reactable. Lost Lace can be poisoned, she can be ignited, she takes damage from tools and needle alike. You're free to engage her on your terms with your preferred loadout. She, in turn, can and will shove you into a blender if you're not quick on your feet and reacting. Once you solve her first phase, the void starts acting up and you have a couple new things to worry about, but it's not that bad. It's actually quite euphoric, honestly. Does it temper my profound irritation towards certain chunks of this game? A little bit. Not completely, but a little bit. You know what does help? Dealing the final blow with the teeny tiny little throwing pins I got 40 hours ago. Alright, listen here, you hag. If we wind the chain of events back all the way, you're responsible for all this. So be a pal and give me some juice so I can elope with your daughter, alright? Oh, hello, little ghost.
Sup?
You mind giving me a hand here?
Is that your girlfriend?
Look, I'm working the angles. Help me out here.
Wingman mode activate!
My feelings on Silksong are this. even including the things I don't like about it, I think I'm more inclined to play this one again than the first one. I kinda want to play it again already, to be honest. This game is a hell of an evolution on what the first Hollow Knight did, even including the jagged edges. Team Cherry and their myriad of collaborators should be proud of what they made. It's a game that shows what talented creators can do when they don't have corporate overlords hanging over them demanding a tithe, and why we, in turn, should do all that we can to make more indie releases as successful as it. Let's not wait so long to do this again, Team Cherry. Yeah? And maybe let's set a safe word beforehand.